Second Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. I want to give all infinite honors, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and sincerity. They steered us well and they rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. May the blessing of election be upon your house. This is the brother Zion Amawan coming at you with another lesson to feed the lambs through the Holy Spirit. Haracha'a Kodash, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. All right. In this lesson, we are going to get into crash out season is about to be coming, man. All right. Crash out season is about to be coming. And as you can see, crash out, we already know what crash out is. That's just a person that just disregard everything and they just don't give a hell no more. And they just gonna do whatever. All right. That's going into the sedition. All right. Where the scriptures say that their actions shall stand in their own power, So you're gonna have a lot of people not caring. People gonna be bugged out, all right, because of what's going on, which is the outward circumstances. Just like now you're starting to see gas rising, all right. In some places in California, gas is at $20 a gallon, all right. And you also have some parts of California where Jake already getting used to paying $8. And down here in Alabama, gas today was $3.98. So it's creeping up there at the 4 mark. All right. So, there's going to be a point in time where when gas hit $5 here in Alabama, because of the cost of living is different, So people going to be ransacking these damn, gas stations stealing oil. You're going to be having people siphoning out people gas out of their cars. I mean, it's going to get real hectic, man, to the point where they're going to see if you got gas stored in your house, and it ain't going to be just gas. It's going to be because of the lack of bread too, because the scriptures say that suddenly the storehouses shall be found empty, because if you don't got gas, how the hell can these trucks get to these stores and make the deliveries and shipments? If you don't have no trucks, the store's going to be empty, man. So all of the prophecies is lining up for Jacob's trouble, and you know what I'm saying? And all these prophecies is going to be hitting simultaneously, man. Like all of Second Ezra 15 and 16 going to happen simultaneously, damn near at the same time, Now it say Second Ezra 15:16, for there shall be sedition among men, which is the uproars of the people. People already doing these no king protests. Now you're going to be having these petro protests where they're going to be talking about the petrol because they pissed off that, you know what I'm saying? That they got to pay an arm and a leg just for gas, and the gas they giving you is watered down synthetic, that's why you at the gas pump again. So technically the gas is being stretched out. And you got DJT saying that we got plenty of oil, plenty of gas. No, you got to steal it first. But anyway, for there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. You hear that? They shall not regard their kings nor princes. So the kings is going into government officials. Princes is going into your local officials. The average American is going to disregard the so-called law of the land, and they're going to and the law is going to stand in their own power. First one draw, lay the law. You really think that they're going to be following traffic laws and, following the laws of the Constitution and following your city laws and things of that nature? Hell no, man. It's going to be a free for all. You know, dog eat dog, man. The course of their actions shall stand in their power. Just like I said, first one draw, later law. They are not gonna care about what type of law that these government officials and local officials are gonna say. So that's gonna be civil unrest. Civil unrest is gonna lead to martial law, which is the next scripture. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city. You hear that? A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You hear that? And shall not be able. Martial law under a state of emergency, and all of these executive orders is going to be enacted. All right, from the communications to travel to food consumption and and inventory, man. All right, you can only have a certain amount of items in your house, especially when the social credit system gets enacted with the MOTB, because there will be a social credit, system where the current credit score that you will have will be no more, because that's attached to the old system. All right, there's going to be an entire reset. All right, this is literally what you're seeing, a reset. After every world war, there was a reset. You know, but the real reset is when Yahweh Shah come back, because it's gonna take 1,000 years just to get the earth back running right, functional. You know, it's gonna take the whole 1,000 years just to get the earth back right, man. You know, that just goes to show how bad Esau really did destroy the earth. You know, verse 18 it say, verse 18 say, for because of their pride, you see, the lack of fear. Because when you a prideful nigga, you lack fear. 2/3 of our people lack fear. This is why Jacob's trouble was happening, because these proud niggas, they proud being on the bottom. They don't stand for nothing. So the Lord gonna have them keep a fire going eventually. And a lot of these 2/3 niggas, they not even gonna make it to the missiles, man. A lot of them. And if it's your lot to get a missile, the Lord gonna bring your ass back as a baby, and you gonna get that fire. Believe that. Now it say, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. You see? It's going to be all utter hell breaking loose in every single city, man. To the point where it's going to be too dangerous to go outside. It's going to be too dangerous to re-up on all of your so-called necessities. All right? Somebody may go out and just get put to death trying to, better your little clan that you created. You know, there are going to be different alliances that's going to be formed. All right. And a lot of these YNs, these Grand Theft Auto playing ass niggas, they going to be treating Jacob's trouble like Grand Theft Auto. Like a lot of these niggas that's going to be spoiling houses, that's going to be them YNs, man. A lot of them. They already got ARPs, these little shiesty masks. They already listen to NBA Youngboy. These are some wild niggas, man. All right. Say twin. Like all of them. For sure. Yep, and those are gonna be the YNs that's gonna be doing all of this spoiling the goods and in houses, man. It's gonna be a lot of these young niggas, man. You know? They're gonna be all ages, but it's mainly gonna be them. Because they are already wild now. Okay. So let's move on. Let's go to the book of Luke. This is something to take on. You know, I got the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 25. Luke 21:25. It reads, And there shall be signs in the sun. And we've been seeing blood moons left and right. All right, there was a big blood moon. It was like real big, man, and it was in front of the Statue of Liberty. All right, a blood moon means war. You know, whoa, mainly war. You know, and we're in a time of war, and Yahweh Shema Shah has waged war. All right, on Esau, Edom, and these other nations. All right, and Yahweh Shema Shah set their eyes on Babylon the Great, you know, to pelt this place with thermonuclear fire, to make this place a memorial, all right, for desert creatures, all right, and the fowls, in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, all right. We've been seeing chariots, you know. We've been seeing the Sabbaths been doubling up. All right, Sabbath, high holy days been falling on Esau's holidays. So, we are in fact seeing the signs and the times of the end. That's why we're measuring out the times diligently within itself. And upon the earth, distress of nations. And you see that now in complete turmoil. You actually see the distress of the nations with this oil crisis, all right, especially in the Philippines. You see it in Babylon the Great, all right. There is going to be a oil lockdown because oil is going to be depleted. And then the first thing you have to do in order to lock people down is restrict their travel. They already shutting down flights, and they got ICE replacing TSA. So everything is lined up for the MOTB. With perplexity, okay? Now let's get that word perplexity. All right, and we'll close. Let's get that word perplexity.
Strong's G 639. Apareo.
To be without resources. To be in straits. You see, so they're going to have a level of difficulty because they're going to be catching hell. Zechariah 13:8 was written for a reason. 2/3 of our people got to get canned. 2/3 of our people is pride. This is why the cities is going to be troubled. Why? Because they ain't going to have no resources. They're going to be in straits. To be left wanting. Right. They're going to be left in wanting, man. They're going to be left wanting. They're going to want a nice juicy burger. But they stuck eating stale crackers and, and they got a block of cheese and they eating the mold on the cheese. A lot of them going to be cutting around it, but a lot of them going to eat that mold part too. They're going to be left wanting. He was running through some brush and cut his leg wide open, his inner thigh. Now he bleeding real bad and he ain't got nothing to tie it up. And if you do got something to tie it up like a shirt or something, it's going to get infected. To be embarrassed. Right. They're going to be looking crazy. They're going to be looking like a gumbo homeless nigga at a homeless shelter, man. Eating gumbo, man. And then he going to be in a better position than these niggas. And he eating fucking gumbo. And that's gumbo is abominable. They ain't gonna have nothing. To be in doubt. Right, because they don't even believe. They lack fear. Fear in Yahweh Shema Shah is the beginning of wisdom. Not to know which way to turn. Because they're not being navigated through wisdom. They're going to be leaning on their own understanding. They are not going to apply the scriptures. Because they don't know the scriptures, because they rejected knowledge. And this is when the Lord is going to give them that final rejection before he have to kill them by death by pain and to bring them back into the fold through the loins of the elect. All right. Not to know how to decide or what to do. You see, they're going to be leaning on their own understanding. They're going to be completely abased. They're not going to have no way out. The only way out they gonna have is death by pain. You know? So this is just something to meditate on. So with that, I want to give infinite honors, praises, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. We on the next one. Abaratazai. Shalom.